Hello, and welcome to Romeo and Juliet, Lesson 7, Patterns and Contrasts. In previous lessons, we learned about some of the character conflicts and how those conflicts advance the plot of the play. Today we will locate motifs, in other words, words, phrases, and quotations that create patterns and/or contrasts throughout Act 1. We will also record the motifs on the dialectical journal handout and write meaningful interpretations and commentary. For this lesson, you will need The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. You will also need the Dialectical Journal for Act 1 handout. The two quotations are from two different scenes in Act 1. What element or idea is present in both quotations? Note how the quotations are cited on the slide. When you open your Dialectical Journal handout, you're going to write the quotations down with the correct citations in column 2, row 1. Go ahead and do so now. What does this imagery in these two quotations reveal about Romeo's character? A motif is an element, idea, concept, word, phrase, or object that is recurring throughout a work of literature. Motifs are patterns and/or contrasts throughout a text, which lead to meaning or understanding of characters, events, or the text as a whole. What is a motif in Romeo and Juliet? Let's write that down in column 1, row 1. Consider the conversation we just had about the quotations in the gray box. Now, I want you to follow the directions on the slide. As you answer, remember that you need to review what you've read in Romeo and Juliet so far to locate additional evidence which illustrates a pattern throughout the text and/or evidence which illustrates a contrast related to light imagery or dark imagery. What do these contrasts mean? What do we learn about the characters, the events of the play, or the meaning of the text as a whole? How is the motif of light versus dark used to develop a character or event or create meaning? Now we're going to add versus dark in column 1, row 1. You're going to add any evidence that you located during your skimming of the text. Now you're going to write their interpretations and commentary following the example on the board. Locate additional motifs in Act 1. Consider recurring words, phrases, and quotations that create patterns or contrasts. Record the motifs on the Dialectical Journal handout. Remember to use text evidence and write effective commentary on your handout. Remember, on the board is how to cite your textual evidence, as well as to use backslashes between each line of verse. You will have about 20 minutes to complete this activity. Now I want you to follow the directions on the slide. As you're working through this, I want you to think about the following questions. Which motif did you take the most notes on? What do you think the author is trying to communicate with these ideas? You will have about 7 minutes to complete this activity. But before we move on to completing the activity, I'm going to go ahead and close out this lesson. Congratulations! You have completed Lesson 7 of the Romeo and Juliet unit. In this lesson, you learned how an author uses patterns and contrasts in language to create meaning. You also practiced choosing textual evidence and writing commentary. Now let's go back and look at your instructions for the final activity.